hopefully they are trying to send the right message that it's just about the content right there. It's not about being gay. It's not about being trans. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about this right here is unacceptable. All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Let's party. So I saw this video earlier today, and I was slightly disturbed, but it actually has a decent ending. So you know what? Let's just jump into it, and then we'll come back on the other side.
Not identical to the meme Pedo Bear, a reference to targeting children. And this is the video. Let's play it.
Bro, we're in Wynyard, Sydney. At what point does inclusiveness pass too far?
This is too far.
You got a fat man that's naked in a gimp costume with a cute teddy bear hat right in Wynyard. Now tell me this, maybe you can sound exaggerating, maybe you can sound too much, but at what point is it too far when you're walking down the street with your kid and the kid looks at a cute teddy bear hat and relates it to a man in a gimp suit? At what point does it get too dangerous? You tell me.
I will tell you, it is right now. This is too much.
This is the decay. This is the degradation and the degeneracy of Western civilization. That's right. The Pedo Bear head on a gay man in BDSM gear. Now it's been defaced. According to Scott.
So that's the good part of it, that somebody actually said, you know what, this is too much. Now, I am not in favor of defacing public property. But at a certain point, you have to ask, what else is there to be done?
News.com.au. Leave the kids alone. Controversial gay pride mural of man wearing bondage gear in Sydney's CBD defaced with paint. People are saying, no way. Take a look at this image. Let's see if we can get it a little bigger for you. You can see here.
So this is the same exact mural, but they defaced it. And you can see right here, it says, leave the kids alone.
The man in bondage gear has been painted over, and it says, leave the kids alone. And they've defaced the whole thing. Wow, man. Yeah, Western civilization was fun while it lasted, I suppose, but weak men make hard times, and that's where we're headed.
You guys know the fourth turning, bad times make strong men. So hopefully we're getting there, but it seems like we're in the bad times.
They report a controversial gay pride mural in Sydney CBD. Can I just point that out? You're calling it a gay pride mural? It's Pedo Bear.
This is something that specifically with the gays against rumors, you gotta say it like that. They're really pushing back against this idea that all of this type of trans activism, not being trans, but the extreme trans activism, people like Jeffrey Marsh on TikTok literally telling kids that their families are terrible and they should join his Patreon and become his family, all that kind of stuff. People who are just normal gay, lesbian, bi, even normal trans people who happen to be trans but are just otherwise normal don't want this stuff associated with them. This has nothing to do with children, and it shouldn't. And most people agree about that. But because society has given this free pass to the entire LGBT community, it is rife for people who are not legitimately part of the community, but using that as cover and co-opting it to get away with whatever they want.
It is a meme directly referencing targeting children. Sure. A controversial gay pride mural in Sydney CBD has been defaced following days of divided opinion among locals about its appropriateness. The mural on Wynyard Street, located adjacent to the train station of the same name, depicted a man reclining on a couch in minimal clothing. Oh, yes. But the combination of a leather bondage harness and the teddy bear head led some to suggest the artwork was too lewd for younger crowds.
Can you really call a gimp suit and a teddy bear head clothing?
Just after 9:30 p.m. on Wednesday, vandals took to the mural with purple, black, and white paint to completely cover the man.
And again, I want to point out that it's not a good thing to be defacing public property. I do think that the ideal way to go about this would have been to, lobby with the city or go through the proper channels. But how many kids are seeing this in the time that it would take to go through those channels?
The YCK gay slogan written next to the man had also been painted over. A white sign with "Leave the Kids Alone" scrawled on it with black marker had also been plastered on top of the mural. The mural was attacked with paint in two separate occurrences.
So the fact that they covered over the YCK gay slogan itself, maybe they're trying to say, because if I was doing this and I would want to leave their name out there so that you could see, you, the person seeing, that we had to cover what these people were saying. And the message to these people is leave the kids alone. So the fact that they covered it over, hopefully they are trying to send the right message that it's just about the content right there. It's not about being gay. It's not about being trans. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about this right here is unacceptable.
They're lying to you, the Pride people. You know, I know, because I used to do organizing for them, and they're lying to you. I have fundraised on behalf of the HRC, Human Rights Campaign, LGBT rights advocacy on more than one occasion, working for some of these nonprofits, and I can tell you, they're lying to you. The activists are. Here's what they do. The activists will say, it's about love. It's about loving someone. Why do you hate love? And then you get events where they prance around naked. There's one where a fat man in a Bugs Bunny mask is jumping up and down naked in front of children.
And you guys know this. I mean, we've been having issues with the way that Pride in general kind of skirts those lines of what would otherwise not be acceptable. But for a long time, it's been a little bit out there, but it's been like, all right, you know what? They, went through a lot. It was only 2013 when marriage equality passed. So, all right. But it's just getting that far. It's not that many people who are actually part of the community. There's a lot of allies. There's a lot of people who support that sort of lifestyle. But how far is too far?
With his genitals flopping about. When I was little, and my family owned a coffee shop in Boys Town, Wrigleyville. It's the gay neighborhood in Chicago. My mom didn't want me going out during the Pride Parade because I was a young child and there were people dancing around naked. That's the reality. I remember I'd walk down the street and I'd see the clothing stores where the models, the mannequins, were anatomically correct and the two male mannequins were in a sexually suggestive position with one on his knees and the other with his pants undone. I remember hearing about Gay Mart, they called it, that sold overtly sexualized products. And I thought to myself as a young child, when I was told over and over again it's about love, I was like, then how come literally every single thing you talk about nonstop is just sex?
Every little thing you talk about is sex. Yes, of course, sex is a big part of love, but that's not all there is. But that seems to not be the case in other communities, let's say. And if that's not accurate, it's not my fault. I'm just not part of that community, so all I know is what I see. And if that's all you're putting out there, that pride equals debaucherous sex stuff, then what do you expect from me?
How come you're not talking about love? Yeah, because they're lying. And now what are we seeing? The same thing is happening again. Our right to exist, they say. That's the story with someone like Leah Thomas. Trans people say that J.K. Rowling is claiming we don't exist and things like that. They don't exist. No, they do exist. Some people would argue they don't, whatever. I know trans people literally exist. The problem, many of these people aren't actually trans.
That's 1,000% correct. Yeah, sure. Maybe there's people who say that if you identify as trans, then you literally do not exist as a person. I don't think that. I don't think that many people who talk about this stuff think that. They just think that you are a person. You're just not what you say you are.
See, when I think about a trans person, I think someone suffering from gender dysphoria, and it caused them pain and anxiety. And so they transition so that they can feel more aligned with their body.
Great. If that's your situation and you are an adult, do whatever makes you happy. Not only do I not care, but I actively do care and want that for you. I want that happiness for you. If, and that's a big if that is the right avenue for you.
It happens. It's in the DSM-5. You know what is not, what I would consider to be trans? Fame whores who get surgery to get clicks and views on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, etc. And AGP and, AAP, autoandrophilia. These are individuals who are aroused at the thought of you perceiving them as the opposite sex. That is not trans.
I agree that it shouldn't. I mean, technically it is trans because trans is just whatever you want to make it. According to their rules, whatever you decide is reality. But absolutely what he's saying is that some of these people, the Leah Thomases of the world, the Dylan Mulvaney's of the world, they don't actually suffer from this feeling that they're in the wrong body, whatever the hell that means. They just like the attention that they get. And for some of these people, it's a legitimate kink. It's not just they like the attention, just like everybody else likes attention. I like the attention of you watching me right now. But it's more insidious than that. Because they know that society is forcing you to go along with their delusions. It's not only the fact that it is delusional, but they are getting off on that. This is what the trans activists have created. A bubble where bad people, dishonest people can thrive.
So when someone goes around, so this is what happened with Leah Thomas. There's a thread which insinuates that Leah Thomas actually isn't dysphoric, but is fetishizing you, treating them like a woman.
Yep.
It's very strange. So why is it that we then see a mural, the man in bondage gear? What does that have to do with being in love? Nothing. It's a sexual fetish, and they're getting off on you being forced to participate in it.
They're getting off on you being forced to participate. Force is not something that I think should be any part of our society. Crazy statement, but that's just me.
Degeneracy. That's where we're going. I also think it's bold and brazen, but I'm not surprised that we're now seeing the pedo bear face. See, people are like, it's a teddy bear face. They're attracting kids. Like, yeah, dude, that looks a lot like pedo bear. Pedo bear was a meme from a long time ago where it was a little teddy bear that would peek out from the side and make references to people being, targeting children. So isn't it all surprising to now see a man, an adult fat man in bondage gear wearing that as a mural? They're telling you exactly who they are and what they intend to do. And I can imagine they will keep pushing unless not allowed. So Matt Walsh called out the trans activists, called out Dylan Mulvaney, and did it in a mean manner. And I think Matt is actually mostly correct in his assessment.
So if you missed that, Matt Walsh came out pretty hard against Dylan Mulvaney, and a lot of people had different opinions about it. And he came back pretty strong and it pointed out that maybe he was being a little not nice. But for him to be getting so much backlash when this is what these people are doing is absolutely insane.
I don't care that he was mean. I said, I think you get the message across without being mean, but I don't care that he is. Though he made a really great point, and I think I got to say, we have to shame and ridicule bad things by bad people. We don't tolerate all of it. We tolerate love. So a man loves a man, a woman loves a woman. I have no issue with that. In fact, I accept that. No problem whatsoever. You love somebody, love them, have a good life.
Exactly. See, he's saying the same thing. It's not, a lot of people say, I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're this. I don't care. I mean, I don't care, but it goes beyond that. I want people to be happy. I want people to be able to do whatever they want to do. I just don't want people to be able to force you to do what they want to do.
When you start getting naked in public, I say, this has nothing to do with love. When you start forcing people to participate in your sexual fetish, that is not love. That is degeneracy. And now you've crossed the line and you're infringing on my rights. But too many people, especially on the left, just say, no, we must accept all of it. That's love. No, they're lying to you. What's likely happening, as we see with this, and we've seen with many other things, is that people who want to abuse children are using the LGBT community as a vehicle to get what they want. So you end up with groups like Gays Against Groomers. An organization comprised of mostly LGB people, and even some transgender people.
Yes, there are a lot of trans people against the groomer people because it gives them a bad look. A lot of these people just want to live their lives. A lot of people just want to get on with their life in the way that they see fit. They don't want to push anything on you or your children or anything like that. Those are not the people we are talking about. Those people are being co-opted by the people who are making stuff like this.
Who are coming out and saying, do not use our name to push your creepy agenda and your sterilization of kids. So what happens? Quite the funny thing, actually. The left calls them far right or whatever. And it's just like, okay, so you think the far right, the white nationalists, the white supremacists, the traditionalists, the homophobes are actually aligned with gay people. Maybe that's part of the plan. Maybe the plan is to force the right to accept LGBT people by being the villain that unifies everyone against them. Maybe. But look, I've been a liberal for the most part, to whatever you want, however you want to describe me, my whole life. So I've always been fairly libertarian, and I've always been rather, I don't care what you do in the privacy of your own home. But now you've crossed the line and you're making enemies. And the end result of this is going to be the abolition of gay marriage. Yes, it may be an extreme position, but let me tell you where I think it's going. You have, with the Roe v. Wade case, a lawsuit. Mississippi banned abortion, I think, like 11 weeks. They sue. They lose, overturning Roe v. Wade. We don't talk about that much anymore, do we? It happened. Now several states are banning abortion. We are going to get, likely, more lawsuits pertaining to Obergefell, which is the case that made gay marriage legal nationwide. And you could get this conservative Supreme Court outright saying no and overturning it.
So I was talking about this just on stream, catch me every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, about how I don't think the LGBT community as a whole would have gone this far had they not met so much pushback from the religious right way back in the day. I think if we, and I'm not looking to play the blame game. I'm not looking to do any of that. I'm just trying to understand how we got here and how can we fix things. And it seems like if we had just been like, yes, of course, if two adults want to marry each other, regardless of gender or sex, we don't care about that. But because there was so much pushback against that, then everybody who was okay with it got lumped into one group. And that group got a lot of power, as I was talking about before. And now that is the group that is getting co-opted, even though most of the people do not want any type of degeneracy in front of children.
My point is this. You won your tolerance when it came to love, but now you're pushing overt sexuality and sex and fetishism on the rest of the public. They're not going to tolerate that, and there will be a recoil in the other direction. When we see things like this mural, if they had just made a normal mural, they would have gotten their pride message across. Children would have been indoctrinated to it. They'd grow up accepting it. Instead, they decided to make something deeply offensive that targets children in a very disgusting way.
And then, of course, if you don't like it, then you're transphobic. I mean, he goes on, but you get the point that this is just too much. It is too much. And thankfully, normal people are actually starting to wake up, see this stuff, speak out. And I don't know. Do you think this is too far? Do you think this type of mural is too far? Do you think it's okay? Do you think there's no big deal? And what do you think about my thoughts about the religious right way back in the day? Do you think that has any effect on how we ended up here? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Thank you so much for partying with me. Once again, I'm your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, I am out of here. Peace.